Floor is yours.
Do you want to do the minutes first? The minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, or should I just go home?
Aye.
Okay, so the first one we have tonight is LU-0043-23, which is Ed Rentamaki on behalf of Melvin and Doralee Hoddenfield. They are requesting a zone change to rural residential for an approximately 14.75 acre lot. The property is currently within the agricultural zoning district. They are requesting a minor subdivision to create 2 lots. The parent parcel is 160 acres and is within the agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 14.75 acres and 145.40 acres. The larger lot, which is MS 23-0023, will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the second lot of MS 23-0022 will, they're requesting the zone change to the rural residential property. The smaller lot will encompass the farmstead and some outbuildings that are currently on the property. Access to both the newly created lots is off of 119th Avenue Northwest. The plat is currently working through the minor subdivision review process, and recordation of the Mylar will be contingent on the approval of the zone change. We did not get official recommendation paperwork back from the township. I did follow up with them, and when I did that, I did get an email back from one of the board members saying that they were okay with it. But
Any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? We'll open the public hearing. Any comments? Any comments from the public? Third and final time. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Ed, are they living in the farmstead right now? They're just pulling it out so they can sell the land? Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Hearing none, what are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve with staff comment.
And a second.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Dan.
okay, so the second item we have tonight is LU-0044-23, which is Andrew Borrud, who's requesting a conditional use permit for a second dwelling on his property that is within the rural residential zoning district. According to the Williams County ordinance and subdivision regulations, only one single-family residence is permitted in this zoning district unless a CUP is obtained. The applicant will use the new dwelling as a place to periodically stay out on the farm with his family. The applicant states the current home on the property belonged to his grandparents and is not in livable conditions. The applicant is currently working with the building division to obtain all necessary building permits contingent on the approval. Hebron Township did recommend approval. Access to this property, which is approximately 10 acres, is off of 59th Street Northwest.
Okay, thank you. Questions for staff? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Andrew, any comments? Okay. Anybody else wish to comment? Third and okay. Thank you. Any questions? Close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the board?
Henry, the house that's inhabitable, is there power and stuff in there now, or has that all been unhooked and everything, or?
Any other questions for Andrew? Because if there is, I'm going to have him walk up so we can get him on the recording.
Somebody called in.
I'd make a motion to approve following staff comments, but, and I do have a question for us, I guess. If the house is not livable, could we, I mean, does he need to have this? I mean, if he can't use the one that's there, it's really not really there?
The reasoning for that is they could go in and fix it up, potentially, like, just to kind of cover ourselves. It's not livable now, but
Wouldn't we know that if they pulled a building permit to remodel it or to, I mean, wouldn't we not be we'd know about that in the future if that were to ever happen, correct?
we would, yeah. If they were to do a building permit to remodel.
I just didn't want, if they didn't have to do this CUP, or this approval for a second dwelling, it just seemed like we were kind of defeating ourselves, but.
Well, but for this one, since it is rural residential, for that particular parcel, because it is under that 40 acres, they're only allowed one residence, and in the future, they could pull a building permit and we could stop it at that point, but if they were to remodel it without pulling a building permit, which could happen, not saying that they would, but it could happen, then they could have two residences without a CUP. It just covers the landowner and us as a whole.
Barry, I don't remember if you were here last month, but we had quite a discussion about these last month. But I still think it's the best way to catch them at this point and ensure that there's no problems in the future.
I guess my way of thinking was if it was that uninhabitable, it would be more than likely, it would probably be torn down before it was likelier than it would be to be fixed up, and it just seemed to be simpler, but this works.
I'm fairly familiar with this property. I drive by there a couple times a week. But it's just one step. That house was probably built after the Homestead Shack was taken down, so it's an older home. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is James, I'll second.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so this third one is LU-0045-23, which is Rochelle Williamson on behalf of Hess North Dakota Pipelines LLC. They're requesting a zone change to heavy industrial for an approximately 7.98 acre parcel. The property is currently within the agricultural zoning district. On this one, we have not received comment back from Dry Fork Township. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision to create two lots. The parent property is within the agricultural zoning district and is approximately 147.64 acres. The newly created lots will be the smaller 7.98 acres and then the 132.60 acres. The larger parcel will remain in the agricultural zoning district. The applicant is requesting the zone change from agricultural zoning district to heavy industrial zoning district for the smaller lot. The purpose of this request is for the construction of a Kappa Velf site to aid in the operation of the Kappa compressor station that is located in Section 7, which is adjacent to the southeast of the location. County does not regulate oil and gas uses, so staff tries to determine the best zoning district based on the size of the newly created lot and the potential use after oil and gas uses cease to exist. Access to the newly created lots will be off of 59th Street Northwest. They are currently going through the subdivision process with this one, and the larger portion will remain with Jason and Christina Iverson, while Hess will purchase the smaller parcel. Do you want to pull up that one, Missy?
Any questions for staff?
Yes, so it will be in Section 7. You can see up on the map, there's the big purple area. That's where their compressor station is. And then it's, yeah, like right in kind of in that area up in there. We'll go. Oh, yes, sorry, 6. It's right on the edge. Section 7 is right. It is, yep, so the purple right there is heavy industrial. The lighter color, if you zoom out a little bit, Missy, the lighter color is, I believe, rural commercial, and then there's a bunch of heavy industrial up in that area as well. So not quite as spot zoning as some locations. There's
All that stuff
Tanks,
up
there's
there,
a lot
that's
of-
that Beaver Lodge, it's the. So is this gonna be, it's basically just kind of covering up what they call the, Valve City, like there's just stuff all over there, right?
Yeah, good evening. My name's Brent Lonis. I'm the general manager for Hess, and that's correct. Sorry. That's correct. It's where we call the Valve City, and currently we have a right-of-way agreement with the Iversons. And so what's changing really is just the ownership in this parcel. We're moving our development program up into that area. We're doing more drilling in that area, and we're building a compressor station that's just south of this location. 2 compressor stations, actually, and so instead of continually going back and asking for changes to that right away, we reached an agreement just to purchase this ground where we can develop it without bothering the Iversons so much.
So is this just gonna be valve sets then, or, I mean, you gonna have above ground stuff there also?
It'll be
or-
a valve set that's there, then there will be pig launchers and receivers on that pad, that location, that support that compressor station. Takes the gas from that area and transports it to the Tioga gas plant.
Anybody else have a concern or a comment on this item? Third and final time. Any concerns from the public? Any other questions? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions, concerns?
No, I don't. I was just curious of what, cause there's so much, I mean, you can't
It's-
hardly throw a snowball without hitting something over there, so.
Yeah, a lot of infrastructure in that area. It's the main corridor for us.
I have a message from Commissioner Simblick. All I get is blank pages and no sound. So that was Tate on the line. Well, the question that Tate had was a general question on these kind of projects. What happens when this is all done? 100 years from now, is it still heavy industrial? Will the sites be cleared? Are we making a mistake by not going to conditional use permits on these? That was the question that he had sent me yesterday or the day before.
We don't require anything at the county level for oil and gas, so it's all through the state.
It's incumbent upon the state.
Right. And we had one like this a few months ago where we were a family was carving out like the chunk that had, I don't remember what it was, like saltwater maybe disposal. And you guys chose to do a variance and allow that to allow it to remain in agricultural. So then if it were to ever cease to exist, it could just be kind of taken back over. This one, we kind of went with the heavy industrial because of everything else that's in that area.
Okay? Any other questions? Okay, Tate said he could hear us now. Tate, can you hear us? Obviously, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
What are the wishes of the board? We're on the Amarada Hess one, Tate.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tate,
Yeah.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is LU-0047-23, which is Brian Chilcott on behalf of VacuJet. They're requesting a conditional use permit to reopen and operate a wastewater treatment plant on an approximately 38.94 acre parcel that is within the agricultural zoning district. The subject property previously had a wastewater treatment plant operating on the site by Bakken Sanitation Solutions. However, it is not currently in use. As per our ordinance, a CUP is required for this use within the agricultural zoning district. There was a CUP for this property that was granted in 2012 and was transferred to a new owner in 2015. We did not receive comment back from Athens Township on this one. Access to the subject property is off of 136th Avenue Northwest, which is US Highway 85 North.
Okay, any questions from the board before we open the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll open the hearing. Anybody else wish to comment? Is the applicant here?
He is here, yes.
Any comments from you, sir? Anyone else? Any other public comments? Third and final time? Close the public hearing.
Michelle, is there state regulations on this too, or was this all county when we originally opened it up?
I believe there are state regulations. I'm trying to remember what the permit said.
Remember, it's a pretty big field up there and stuff. Right close to Twin Lakes up there?
Brian, you want to answer that? You want to answer Mark's questions, please?
This is Brian Chilcott. Yes, there is a state permit, which we've had transferred into our name upon purchasing from the previous ownership. We did an asset purchase, not a company purchase, so they had to transfer it from their name to ours, which is done through the state. And now we're finishing up with making sure our county things are straight.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So the pond there, is that just how do you get rid, or is it just evaporation that goes?
A little bit of both, sir. So that's all treated water. That pond is all treated water, but if it does rise to a set level, then we are working with the Smiths, Donette Smith, and they're going to irrigate. And the state has a discharge permit as well as our wastewater treatment permit. They tell me that we'll never get to that point due to evaporation and just the decrease in, as the city expanded their pipes, it was less trucked waste. And so they don't foresee us ever having to discharge, but our plan for discharge between the state and Donette Smith is to irrigate. They own a lot of land around the plant. And so that's the plan if it was to ever reach that level. But they forecast we won't.
And I believe the original CUP was the Smiths who acquired it, was the original one before it was transferred.
In the cover letter here, it says the CUP was granted in 12 and then it was transferred in 2015.
Correct.
I thought CUPs were non-transferable.
I thought they were too, but then I believe in 2015 they came and requested it to be, like asking for it to be transferred because it went, the Smiths were still part of that Bakken Sanitation Solutions. It was just went from them individually to a company entity that they ran, is how I understood it.
Any other questions? How do you wish to proceed?
And make a motion to approve with staff comments.
Second.
Sherelle's got the second. Please. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so the final thing tonight on the agenda is LU-0048-23, which is Leon Brackey on behalf of Dorothy Johnson. They're requesting a zone change to rural residential for an approximately 10.19 acre parcel. Subject property is currently within the agricultural zoning district. Round Prairie did recommend approval on this application. They are requesting a minor subdivision to create 2 lots. The parent parcel is approximately 105.27 acres and is within the agricultural zoning district. The larger lot, which is approximately 89.12 acres, will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting the zone change for the smaller lot. The smaller lot will encompass the non-tillable land. You want to do the map? It's easier to kind of see on the map. That little part right there is kind of what they're encompassing with that. Access to the larger lot is off of 54th Street Northwest. The smaller lot on here, we do have, it can be accessed through the access easement off of 151st Street Northwest, which is County Road 5. However, after talking with Wayne Crow and then Leon was working with him, they're going to do an access through the parcel to the east that they own as well. And they'll be doing an access easement, maintenance agreement, those types of things to do that. I know on the plat, it shows access coming from the west, but that will be changing on the plat in the coming week or so.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is, for the record, my name is Leon Brackey, the land surveyor for this project. I'm here with Dorothy and her daughter, Patty, and I guess we're just here for any questions or any clarification that we may be able to provide for you guys.
Questions for Leon? Leon, the picture's not very good. What's directly to the west of that on the screen up there?
To the west is another minor subdivision. It's actually a 5-lot subdivision that was done about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, and it has 5 residents now. Each lot has a residence in it as well.
So there's 5 10-acre lots there?
Do you know the acreage? I don't think they're quite, actually, they might be. I think the 4 are, but the one to the north might not quite make 10.
Yeah, it's Palomino Properties subdivision is the subdivision right there. They, to the west. That one, yep.
Yep. And we just did a minor subdivision the year before for the parcel to the east for that quarter.
Any other questions for Leon? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? I'll close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Commissioners, thoughts, questions? Tate, any comments from you?
I do have a couple questions. When they attempt to do this, I mean, this is how many times have they come before us to continually to subdivide these into 1 or 2 acre, or 1 to 2 lots at a time, avoiding the major subdivision requirements. Is this just like a continuation that's going to happen all the time? Are there developers agreements with these? Do they build the roads to the county specs? What do they do? That's probably more of a staff question.
Once they build a road, it will have to be to county specs, and they would work with Wayne and the township on that. As far as if they plan to continue doing this, I don't know.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I guess then that's my concern is how many times they keep coming in here. Pretty soon we're gonna have all these smaller ranchettes with limited services. I don't know, I get concerned about some of the zoning when we're that far out. When we're thinking these large lots with families or whatever have you out there that far away. I guess that's just a concern in my opinion.
I guess mine was just about the exact case, is how many times are we gonna keep subdividing the same piece of ground? Or is it all gonna be 10-acre lots by the time we're done, or, I guess maybe that's a whole other question. Done with this, or what's gonna happen?
Sherelle, you live out there. What is your thought on this?
Well, originally, when this was proposed, it was proposed to be smaller lots, and at the time, the township turned it down. So at the time, you could do 10-acre lots without any approval. So it was, the original piece, the Palomino Estates thing was in 10-acre lots. And the piece that to the east, I'm not sure when that was done, and what, how many, is it just one big rural residential, or what is that?
So it's three separate lots. I'm not sure when the zoning was changed, but the plat was just recorded earlier this year. And I want to say that the zoning may have been done last year before Sam left.
Other questions? Patty, do you have some property over on County One? Patty, did you hear me? Do you have some other property over on County One? Right to the south of the Blue Farm. Was there a Johnson School over there, Patty?
There is. There's a Johnson School. That has nothing to do with us. It's a different Johnson.
Okay, you don't have the property along the road over there?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And what we're just taking out of this right now is everything that's not agricultural being farmed, because we want to keep this little part where the house and the yard is in the family. So someday when we can sell the farmland, we have kept this part for personal use.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Is there a house on this property now?
Yeah, in the one picture in the packet, it's like page 46, I think it says. It does show kind of like a little building, but I don't. Yeah, when I was there in August, there was a little building standing, so.
Can you slide the screen back out a little bit and go over to the property next door, please? Where the 4 or 5 other houses are? Can you make the yellow go away? So when it was developed, you did own it? Well, the concern that I have is that basically this is spot zoning. We have, what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for future conflicts. You know, for the next 150 years, those residents will be there. And at some point in time, we're gonna have a conflict between who's ever doing the farming in that area at that time and the neighbors, because we're already running into situations where you're spraying Roundup or you're spraying Gramoxifene or something, and if you're near a residence, there's buffers that have to be kept. There's a danger to any pets in the yard. And it's one of the reasons that we have the planning and zoning ordinance, is to prevent these kinds of conflicts from erupting by having organized, coordinated zoning. And in the comprehensive plan that was approved several years ago, you know, when we went out to every community in the county, what came back from everybody in the meetings that we had in the county was that keep residential where residential is, keep farmland where farmland is, and keep industrial where industrial is. And we're seeing piecemeal these 10-acre lots, whether it's here or northwest, right to the northwest of town or east of town. We're seeing this incremental creep into the agricultural areas, and it's become a concern to the people in the agriculture sector. Well, that's the concerns that I have about this. We're really circumventing good planning and zoning by doing these kinds of things.
And some of these are carving out farmsteads to sell the ag land, which I can kind of see. Although down the road, when the original owner gets too old to live there, you could run into the same problem. Yeah, because we've done a lot of those lately, which I attribute to our aging population.
Well, that and a lot of people, I don't know what, I don't know what the particulars of the Haddonfields are, but a lot of these that we've seen are the parents taking out the farmstead and then transferring the land onto the other family members. Any other comments?
Well, yeah, just to quick clarify. So the property that we're talking about right now, dividing this out, are we talking about a homestead or are we talking about like that spot zoning in agriculture land? Like currently, is it agriculture or is it a homestead?
But for some reason, they're not farming it. It's either too rocky or it's got a.
Right, well, yeah, well, evidently at one time it must have been, cause I'm sure the original access road run right through that Palomino properties. You can see the split in the field there. And I do agree with Dan. I mean, I think we are probably setting ourselves up for issues in the future, but at the same time, though, me included, I did not want to live in town. I bought some land out of town and so, I mean, I can see both sides of the issue. It's just that, it's kind of a buyer beware thing. I mean, if you're gonna put yourself out there, the wind's gonna blow, there's gonna be creepy crawlies, the guy's gonna spray the weeds. I mean, you gotta be aware of that when you do this kind of stuff. I mean, well, I agree with that too, but I don't know what the answer is, but.
Several times, Commissioner Ember, we've had discussions here about the creeping expansion of rural residences. And is the end result going to be that every paved road in the county is going to have 10-acre parcels up and down the highway from 280 or from Highway 2 all the way to Glenora? As Monty Myers used to say, our former county engineer, it's just bad zoning.
Well, and you're taking away from the land use map that the county spent a lot of money on trying to build this thing out for the future. And we're starting to sprawl away from that and deviate from that. I agree with you. It's going to catch up sooner or later.
What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to deny.
We have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any other comments from the commissioners? Roll call, please.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
No.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Anything further? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Our next meeting is when? Michelle, when's our next meeting?
October 19th.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan, for doing that. For running it. Thank you.
Don't lose your dad up there.